Welcome back to Tarot and Beyond. Today's reading is what would you do if you had $1 million? You may already have some idea of what you would do if you had $1 million, but this is going to be Tarot, Oracle, and Spirit's way of letting you know what they think that you should do with $1 million if you had it, and possibly how to get it. So we have 3 groups for you to choose from today. Group number 1, group number 2, and group number 3. There's not really any significators. So if you want, actually, I can probably just pull some charms for you guys right now. So we'll get a charm for group 1 if you want to choose that way. Group 1 has the eye. Group 2 has, it looks like, what is that thing called? It's not a dragon. It's kind of like a dragon. It's a 3-headed dragon. So I think it's called the Hydra. Yeah, something like that. Okay. And then group 3 has I love you and the infinity sign. Okay. So make your selection and then use the timestamps linked in the description box and or pinned in the comment section below to jump ahead to your chosen reading or readings, and we'll see you there. All right, hi group number 1, welcome to your reading. So let's find out what you would do if you had $1 million. And the fact that we have the eye charm here tells me that you may use some of that money to open to the psychic realms, or that your psychic guidance is already telling you what you should do in regard to acquiring that kind of money, using that kind of money. But I think it would be really important for you at soul level, if you had $1 million, to use it in a way that was aligned with your intuition and your soul. That's really what I'm seeing there with the eye, but let's take a look at your cards. Wow. Okay. So starting off strong with the snake. So it definitely feels like you're meant to be using that money for, I just heard for good, but I think it's like good in regard to your spiritual awakening and your spiritual self. So if you had $1 million, I feel like group number 1, you would probably be the type of person to invest in like a psychic center or like healing and wellness, psychic types of, I can see investing in awakenings, like going on trips to Bali and going into yoga, meditation retreats, things like that. Kundalini activations. I see you traveling to all of these different remote destinations and locations to help you to awaken the fire within. So the snake here talking about healing, talking about psychic awareness and spiritual awakening. So it's very much centered around your spirituality for whatever reason. That's what Spirit wants you to focus on if you had $1 million, and or how you're going to get it. So focusing on your spirituality, your psychic abilities, your intuitive development, definitely going to be pivotal here in regard to this money. Okay, you also have the 6 of Wands. This is an interesting one because in this card, we see the cat kind of up on the fence and there's all these other cats that are looking up at it. So I definitely feel like you are being called to use this money or to acquire this money through being at a higher vibration. It's like being up above the crowd, outside of the matrix, being I heard the word ascended. So being in that ascended energy and doing things and investing your money in things that are going to help you do that. So whether it's like training, coaching, courses, traveling, investing in knowledge like books and things like that are going to help you to expand your consciousness, raise your vibration. Maybe it's getting energy healing or doing hypnosis or something. I'm really seeing, or this could also even be connected to psychology in some degree, but I think if it is psychological in that sense, it's going to be tinged with spirituality for sure. You also have the 9 of Wands, and I just heard context when I flipped this over. So there's something to do with having context, having, it feels like going through all of these battles has given you context, and they want you to know that for when you are spending this money, or if you had this money, they want you to see it through the eyes of context. Like what came before, what came after, how are those two things different, and how can that shape your consciousness, your awareness? Because the third eye is really about truth. And truth can be highly subjective, it can be experiential, and it can also be based on the non-duality of perceiving opposite ends of that subjective truth in a more objective way. Basically, does that make sense? Like, what I'm trying to say is that there can be multiple truths, and all of them are true simultaneously, even if they're opposing or different. And that's what I'm kind of seeing here, is that Spirit wants you to have context. So let's say, for example, you came from a background where you really went through a lot of trials and tribulations, and you had to work really hard to overcome some things, to heal yourself, to expand your consciousness, to learn, to grow, to see things from a higher perspective or vantage point. Well, they're saying that all of that was necessary context for you to be able to actually honor and appreciate, is the phrase that they just gave me, honor and appreciate the money that is coming to you, or that will help you to use that $1 million in a way that is, I just heard the word efficacious. So it's like effective for you at soul level, because it's not about the money for the money's sake. It's about how is that furthering your soul growth. That's kind of what I'm seeing here. You have adventure. Yeah, that's what I was picking up on before when it comes to like going to these remote locations. Very 12th house energy that I'm getting from you guys. So very spiritual, very dedicated, going through a lot of hard things, loss, suffering, challenges, and really prevailing out of that and embracing the adventures that life has to offer. That's really what I'm feeling, is like you embrace the adventures that life has to offer. And because of that, you're able to hear Spirit, you're able to see Spirit, you're able to transform your life. And in turn, you are drawn to these particular locations that are continuing to help you do that. So if you had $1 million, Spirit is like, you need to do healing work and consciousness expansion and travel. And I think travel is going to be a big part of that, because remote locations and different cultures and different even like religions or approaches to spirituality I think are going to really help you to, again, have context so that you can see these sometimes opposing truths or even complementary truths and integrate those into your consciousness. That's really what I'm seeing Spirit talking about here, because it's going to help you to expand your intuition. And if you don't have this $1 million and you want it, they're really saying that the more that you can open up to different mindsets, different beliefs, different places. And if you don't have the money to travel, then this could be like researching different places. Google is free. Libraries are free. You can always have access to information. And when you connect to the information about a place, you're also connecting to the energy signature of that location. So if you can't physically go there, you can still connect to that energy and expand your mind and expand your vibration, which is going to draw in, is what they're showing me. It's like drawing in the finances. It's drawing in that success, because it's through an expanded mindset that you heal and raise your frequency. And it's through that you overcome these challenges and really expand yourself on your spiritual path. And that money is kind of a byproduct, is what they just said. It's a byproduct of that. So the more that you expand your psychic awareness, your intuitive development, raise the frequency of your soul, the more money you're going to have. Group number 1. You also have the 8 of Wands, positive movement forward. Yeah, definitely. So you have a lot of Wands cards here. This is definitely about movement, action, travel, positive movement forward here. Again, giving me this feeling of adventure. I'm getting like, I said before 12th house vibes, but also 9th house. And I was seeing that in my mind, but I forgot to mention it because I started going off on something else. But 9th house is travel, philosophy, expansion. It's ruled by Jupiter and Sagittarius. So it's very much about this expansion of the mind through movement into different places, whether it's different places in your consciousness, exploring the human psyche or the collective. I think that's where the psychology aspect of this comes in, but also through your experience and your subjective truths based on what you have physically witnessed or physically done or experienced through your adventures, through your travels as a human being here on this planet, and through the context that other people share with you. It's kind of like hearing other people's stories or connecting to different lands and different cultures. Again, it's really going to help you to expand. So I see that if you had $1 million, you're definitely the type of person who's going to be traveling, but the purpose of that is not just to have fun. It is that. It's going to be fun either way, but it's really about expanding your mind. You have discontent and boredom, because if you stay in one place too long, group number one, I feel like you go a little stir crazy. Like, I'm seeing that it's really important for you to adventure and to expand your mind through these adventures, going to different places, whether it's a road trip or it's a boat or it's a plane. It's like you're really called to move all the time and expand. And I think that there's a soul level purpose to that, because from what Spirit is showing me, you are meant to learn through these different environments. And it's through these different environments that you expand your consciousness, that you awaken to multiple truths. And as a result, you raise your frequency and have more resources. Yeah, they're definitely saying if you had $1 million, you would be doing a lot, traveling a lot, moving around a lot. Wow. Okay. So you have "you're ready" and beautiful. This is reminding me of Isis. I don't think that's who this figure is in the card, but it's reminding me a lot of Isis. So I feel like there could be some correlation there. I don't know too much about Isis. I've not worked with her personally, so I don't really have context for that. But I see that it's like they're showing me the wings, that she's always portrayed with those wings. And again, it feels like freedom, expansion, travel, movement. That's really what I'm getting here. And the card says you're ready. So group number one, whether you have $1 million or not, you are ready to expand. And I think that the more that you can expand your mind, the easier you're going to acquire resources, because it's like it's just being offered up to you on a silver platter. If you can embrace the adventure, if you can embrace the expansion of your mind, and possibly even travel physically, because that's really, been a dominant message here. You have mutable, surrender, fluidity, and welcoming change. So if you had $1 million, yeah, this is definitely about expansion and travel, fluidity, change, right? It's like not staying in one place for too long. You're definitely always meant to be kind of on to the next thing. And it's not a bad thing in this context. Like, some people might be like, why don't you settle down and do this or that? And it's like, no, because your soul is here to explore. Your soul's here to expand. And they just said rapid expansion too. And so rapid expansion in this case looks like movement, travel, freedom, learning, and doing that, whether it's through like a conventional, like going to school or university or courses or trainings and things like that, or learning through, like I said, travel, expansion, different cultures, different mindsets, things like that. But it's really about surrendering to the fluidity of that. Even with the boat here on the water, yeah, it feels like following the current, following your intuition is a big part of that. Mutable signs, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. Yeah, I did mention Sagittarius, and Pisces rules the 12th house. So yeah, those two are definitely important here. They could be two of your top three or whatever, or something like that. But these are just themes, right? It doesn't have to be directly applying to you. I mean, obviously take it how it resonates, but I'm really seeing this as archetypal themes that your soul has chosen to work with in this lifetime. And when you have $1 million, or if you had $1 million, this is what they really want you to be focusing on, is that spiritual development to help increase your intuitive way of leading, is what they just said. But I was going to say, like, in being intuitively led yourself, right? Like following your intuition to the next place. If it's calling you somewhere random you've never been before, it's like if you have the money, boom, you can go do it. And there's a reason for that at soul level. You're being called to that location for a reason, or to study that, whatever that culture or people there have to offer. the other aspect of this is what they just said was to lead. So that Six of Wands energy can be leadership, like all of these other cats here that are down below are looking up. So this could be like, if you had $1 million, you might be called to lead other people. You might be called to share your wisdom, or, maybe it's like a travel vlog, or it's, I just heard teaching and professorship. So it could even be like you go and you acquire all this knowledge and wisdom, and then you teach others in a more traditional format. But I'm really seeing, because of all of this movement that's being emphasized here, I feel like it would be very much something that is changeable and fluid, and that doesn't kind of restrict you by locking you in. It's like if you're really going to be able to feel free in this lifetime, group number one, you need to be able to just move freely. Like even the fluidity of the snake, they move like this, right? So it's being able to flow, it's being able to change at a moment's notice, being able to just kind of up and go. So having a job that allows you that autonomy is something that I'm seeing here. So yeah, they're saying that if you embrace your fluidity and your psychic awareness, you will draw in resources, more resources. So spiritual development as a job. Maybe you're teaching spiritual development. Maybe you're called to study psychology or different cultures. Like I said, it's like there's so many different things that I'm seeing here. But it feels to me very much 12th and 9th house. And the connection between those two is really about your beliefs and travel. You have cardinal signs as well. Interesting, you have mutable and cardinal. So this is instigation, bravery, and a pioneering spirit. And that is Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. So definitely bravery, definitely a pioneering spirit is what I see here, because it takes that to be able to initiate, to, at the drop of a hat, be able to say, oh, I'm going to Bali. I'm getting very like eat, pray, love energy from you guys. And the adventure, adventure is calling you at soul level. So if you had $1 million, or when you have $1 million, you're going to be embracing the movement, movement. That's really what I'm seeing here. Sorry guys, I didn't realize that those cards were so cut off at the bottom. I really need to get something that mirrors so that I can see what the heck I'm doing when I'm filming a reading. So anyway, let's take a look at some clarifiers here from the Tarot of the Divine. I feel these two cards and this one. In regard to what you would do if you had $1 million, what Spirit wants you to know in regard to potentially acquiring this money, and how you should use that. Four of Swords. Three of Coins. Queen of Coins, again with the snake energy here too. Definitely feels like fluidity is a big factor in not only how you're meant to move money out of you. I was going to say spend money, and they corrected me and said move money out of you, and how you bring it in. And they're two sides of the same energy. You have the 10 of Coins. Wow, that's the $1 million that I'm talking about here, that we're looking into. It's like having the money that lasts a legacy and lasts a lifetime. I mean, $1 million isn't as much as it used to be. I remember back in the day when $1 million was like you were set for life. It's not the case anymore, but that's kind of the theme or the archetype that we're looking at here. It's not really about the specific number. It's more so the freedom. And it could be a larger sum than $1 million that will set you free, but I'm really seeing that this is very much about the legacy that you're leaving behind, and a lot of it is through lived experience. That's what the money is here to teach you and help you to express. It's very much about what you can actually physically, practically do that helps you to expand spiritually and specifically heal. It's setting yourself free through spiritual and psychic healing. And it's done in a very sort of shamanic way is what I'm seeing. Let me see your last card. Strength. Yeah, definitely. So it's having that spiritual strength, which is developed through all of these ups and downs that you've been through in life. You've had to like wrestle and tame the beast, is what they're showing me. And the shamanic healing part of it is like being able to face your demons. I see a lot of shadow work that you guys have either had to do or will have to do to acquire this, or that you would use that money for, like, again, investing in, let's say, for example, like a hypnosis training or series of sessions, or investing in a psychotherapist who can help you to develop this inner strength and to expand your mind, or again, developing through spiritual and psychic modalities. But again, travel, they just keep repeating that. So I'm sorry if I'm kind of sounding like a broken record here, but that's really what I'm seeing, group number one, is that you are called to have this money so that you can develop spiritually and heal yourself, to develop this inner strength. And it's the same, like whatever you're being called to use that money for is also how you're going to acquire it. So the more energy healing you do, the more shadow work, the more that you explore different cultures, the more that you embrace your own inner strength that you have developed through context, through intuition, and through psychic development and awareness, the more that you're actually going to create this stability for yourself. You got the Queen of Coins and the Ten of Coins. These are very good indicators that this $1 million or more is available to you, should you choose to step into this strength. And I'm also seeing a leadership position like they were showing us before. So some type of like leading other people on excursions, or leading other people through the wisdom that you've gained, leading other people spiritually. These are all different options that I'm seeing here on the table, literally, for you here, group number one, to help break the monotony, is what they just said. And they showed me discontent and boredom again. So breaking the monotony of life and getting back to like these primal roots within you. That's where the strength is. And it's connecting you back to your soul, to your lineage, to the collective of humanity. And it's through the exploration of all of these different cultures that helps you do that. It's like each culture has a puzzle piece, and it's through exploration of these different realms and psyches and collective consciousnesses that you're putting the pieces of the puzzle together for yourself. And again, I think that's where you're going to be able to teach or share that or lead others in some way, because it's like now you know how to put the pieces together, and you're able to communicate that to other people. It's like you've got a really great perspective on the truth, and other people can benefit from that. So you might go into the healing arts, or you might go into some kind of leadership or teaching position, because you have the knowledge, the experience, the wisdom, and I'm also seeing the skill to be able to teach others how to do this. Maybe it's manifestation, maybe it's kind of shadow work or energy healing, maybe it's something to do with shamanism. Whatever it is that you have chosen to do or will be choosing to do, this money is here to help support you in that. It's going to give you the freedom to explore and really expand your horizons inside and out. So that is what I see for you, group number one. Very interesting reading. Spirit is really recommending that if you have $1 million, you really invest it in your consciousness expansion, however that suits you. All right, so sending you guys so much love. Thank you so much for being here. And if you guys want to work with me, I am currently accepting bookings for the 2 offers that I have. We have the intuitive tarot reading offer and the soul scan plus healing. So if you guys are interested, book in now, as I may be taking those off the table fairly quickly here. So if you guys want to work with me one-on-one, now's your chance. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you want to be a member, hit the join button below so you can get access to all of the hidden readings and other additional goodies. And thanks so much for your support of my work. I love you guys, and we'll see you in the next reading. Bye. All right. Hi, group number 2. If you chose this little charm here with like this Hydra, three-headed dragon type thing. I feel like Spirit's really talking to you here about kind of dividing and conquering. It's almost like finding a solution that is beyond what you originally attempted to address. I don't know what they're going on about here, but they're just kind of taking me into this energy of like, you can't solve the problem with the same level of consciousness that created it. That's the quote that they just gave me. And it's like, they're showing me like attacking something, but like not in an aggressive way. It's kind of like attacking a problem or attacking a situation that is imbalanced with a different mindset, and possibly like dividing and conquering in the sense that if you can, it's very sort of paradoxical. It's kind of like you split your focus, but you also focus on one particular goal. And it's almost like the one goal has two sides to it, or maybe even three. And you're able to address all of them by focusing on this one thing. I don't really understand how this is working, but maybe we'll get more context when we get into the cards. But that's just what they're showing me based on the charm and what they're showing me mentally. So anyway, let's take a look. You have the Fly. Yeah, it's kind of like, you know what I saw the first thing I flipped it over was like that movie, The Fly. Ugh, so creepy. Jeff Goldblum. But it's like this hybridization or mutation, or it's like, again, it's like splitting your focus, but combining something. It's so strange, the message. I hope that we can figure it out here together. Let's just keep going. The Lovers. Yeah, it's like this energy of two becomes one and one becomes two. It's like it goes in both directions somehow. Okay. The Four of Cups. Yeah, I just get this feeling of like divergence and convergence. It's this duality between those two and how it's unified. So something about this, what would you do with $1 million, is very much about like dividing and conquering, but really addressing one particular goal. It's like you're branching out, but the roots of the tree are really planted in one particular place. So even though you're expanding and kind of splitting focus, you're still really working towards the same goal. So kind of what I'm seeing here would be like, for example, like in Shark Tank or Dragon's Den. Actually, I can't remember which one's which. I think Shark Tank is Canadian and Dragon's Den is American. It could be the other way around. I just can't remember. But yeah, it's like Dragon's Den, where they have one primary successful business that makes them a ton of money, that really launched them, right? But then because they're business savvy, they know how to invest. They know how to gain capital. They know how to kind of spread or branch out. And by doing so, yes, they are kind of splitting focus, but they're also bringing in way more resources to be able to continue investing. So it's like the more that they expand, the taller they get, the more rich and the more successful, the more return on the investment that they're getting. So it definitely feels like something about splitting focus, but like it's all kind of coming back. It's all merging back together, and it increases your resources. So if we're talking here about how to get $1 million, this is really about learning to, I just heard dividends. I don't even know what dividends are, but I was going to say, like multiple streams of income would be helpful for you guys, group number 2, having multiple streams of income, investing in multiple ideas, or I think dividends is like a return on something. So maybe like investing in multiple different promising companies or stocks or something like that, and then kind of getting that back. But it's like somehow splitting your focus actually helps you towards your overall goal. And if you had $1 million, they're like, yeah, you would really be like investing and expanding that. Be in service. Okay, so they want you to be in service. If you had $1 million, it's important that you are sharing that in some way. Like maybe philanthropy, or, again, they're bringing me back to the example of Shark Tank or Dragon's Den. It's like being able to help other entrepreneurs or business people or inventors and things like that who have these ideas, and being able to invest in them and then get a return on that investment, dividends and things like that. So your service would really be about helping other people to grow and expand their businesses or their services or what they're here to share with the world. And it's like you're feeding them because you have all of this money to share. So yeah, you would definitely be granting people's wishes, group number 2, helping people to realize their ideas is what Spirit just said. Realize their ideas, and invention is definitely part of that. I'm seeing that big time here. It's like very like business, stocks, marketing, invention, products, services. Like that's really what I'm seeing here in your reading, group number 2. Very different than the message we were getting from group number 1. But it's like you, with this money, you're meant to be a decision maker, a leader. You're meant to help other people. You're meant to really, I'm getting something to do with science as well. So it's like being able to help further people who have these scientific epiphanies or ideas or realms of study. I feel like if you had $1 million, you would be investing in new inventions or people who had these ideas and wanted to see them come to fruition, but really needed the grant or the investment, or like the angel investor or something like that is kind of what I'm seeing here. But this could also be like investing in or giving to charities, really is kind of not investing, but like you're giving to charities that help humanity to expand in some way or to grow. Yeah, I see a lot of like interpersonal exchange, but it's very much centered around ideas and science and business. Very, very interesting messages we're getting here. You also have choose wisely. And that's what I was seeing there with the Lover's card. Like you're going to be very decisive. Having this money requires you to choose very, very wisely because you have all of these different options. And like the example with Dragon's Den or Shark Tank, you have so many people presenting you with ideas, and you need to choose which one is going to be good. Like you need to choose which one is going to give you that return. Because if you don't choose wisely, then you lose that money, and it's not helping you to grow, and it's not helping that other person to grow either, because there was a flaw in the business plan, or there was a flaw in the development, or maybe that person was just not cut out to run that business or provide that service or something like that. So it's very much about discernment here is what I'm seeing. And they're also saying that to acquire this level of money or these resources in terms of financial room to be able to invest and to choose these types of things, they're saying that it is important that you connect to your own inner decisiveness to be able to choose things. So it's like the more decisive you can become and the more problem solving that you can do while being in service in some way, the more you're going to experience the income flowing in, is what they're showing me. Yeah, it's like they keep focusing on that problem solving. Like you're meant to be innovative in some way, group number 2. You're meant to innovate to acquire this money for yourself, and you're also meant to help other people innovate in their ideas and their products or services. That's very cool. And then you have moving on, 6 of Swords. So I feel like if you had $1 million and you made an investment that didn't return, you would be able to cut your losses really quickly and just move on. Like you wouldn't sit and become attached to it. You'd be like, okay, that's statistically bound to happen. I'm not going to take it personally. I'm going to be very rational about this, and I'm going to just continue choosing things that I feel either resonate with me, but I feel like this is very logical energy, where group number 1 was like super intuitive. I feel like you guys are more, not that you're not intuitive, but it's just more sort of left-brained in the sense that it's very logical, it's very analytical, and that's what helps you to make these wise choices, is because you're looking at the numbers, you're looking at the statistics, you're looking at, let's say you're investing in a stock or multiple stocks or something like that. You're not gambling, you're not doing it randomly. Like, you're doing the research, you're looking at this, you're understanding all of the ins and outs, and that is what helps you to really get a return on this or get these dividends back, because you're not doing it haphazardly. You're really wisely choosing these things. You also have recovery. I feel like if you had $1 million, you would help other people to recover from losses. Like, maybe you would be helping people get out of debt, or you would be helping people to regenerate. I'm getting that message of regeneration. So being in service in some way could also be about helping people to heal. But I'm seeing it more, again, it's like a scientific thing. Whereas if this was coming up in group number 1, it would be more like, okay, you're doing energy healing and stuff like that, like at a spiritual level. What I'm seeing for you, group 2, is more like you help people to recover physically, like physiotherapy, or like gene-based development. Again, it's like very scientific, like maybe you're investing money in these gene development laboratories that are working on doing some kind of cellular repair, like cancer research, or I don't know, something to do with like physical repair, regeneration, and recovery. And that is the service, the philanthropy, that is the charitable donations, or that's like the investment you're making. It could be even, at a business level, because the fly here, it's kind of like gene splicing, when I was in university, I did an essay on CRISPR, which is basically an acronym for, I can't even remember what it is now, but it's like a DNA alteration technology. And there's a lot of, I think, pros and cons to that. There's a lot of like ethical stuff and moral things that I won't go into in this reading because that's not the point. But I feel like it would be something kind of like that you would help people to recover physically and repair through some kind of scientific innovation, or some kind of way that you could be in service and give back. That's interesting. Okay, now you also have Jupiter, grow and expand. Yeah, I feel like you guys, if you had $1 million, you would turn it into $1 billion. Like, you guys are the business moguls, you're the scientists, you're very tech savvy, I just heard as well. I don't know if that necessarily applies, but take what resonates. For somebody out there, you're very tech savvy, and I see like financial growth through technology. So again, invention, technology, innovation in those realms is really what I'm seeing. So you would either be called to invest in those things if you had $1 million, or you can use those things to help you to acquire this $1 million and to grow and expand it. Jupiter, like it says, grows and expands everything it touches. And it is the most benefic planet. It very much blesses. It helps you to really see this type of growth. So I feel like, if you were stuck at any point in this journey, like let's say, for example, you're stuck right now and you can't grow past a certain point, I would say like tap into research and look to the realms of innovation. And if you're being called to invest in something, follow your intuition on that, like your instinct, but more than anything, look at the statistics and look at the data and the information. And it's the combination of your intuition and instinct plus the data that is really going to help you to analytically choose what is going to have a better outcome. So like if you're looking to invest in stocks or crypto or some kind of new technology or something like that, there's room for massive, massive growth there if you can choose wisely. And there's going to be a lot of options, and a lot of them will not be for you. But again, it's not being attached to any particular outcome. So it's not like putting all your eggs in one basket. I think that's what they meant by divide and conquer. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, because then that's just not like a a wise decision to make, because you could lose everything. So it's like diversifying. That's the word they just gave me. Yeah, diversifying. It's very sort of it's very financial, business, tech. That's the vibe I get from your reading. You have Venus. Give and receive love, find value, and see beauty. Now it's interesting because Venus is more of the intuition, the feminine, receptive, and you do have the Lovers here, which does speak of love as well. So I feel like, maybe there's an element of merging in terms of love. Maybe business and love are two things that combine to become one. And that helps you to diversify. That's what I mean. It's like two things come together to help the expansion. And this could be about choosing the right partner to invest in too, romantically, because it's kind of like if you choose the right partner, they're going to help you to be really successful in life. If you choose the wrong partner and that's not a good investment, that's going to cause you to really lose yourself along the way and have to spend way too much time and energy and potentially even money recovering, let's say for example, from divorce or from the negative sort of outcomes of having a really dysfunctional relationship or something like that. So having to recover mentally and emotionally from that and financially and etc. So I feel like making the right decision in your romantic life is actually a very good business decision in this case. And that's not always going to be for everyone, but that's what I'm seeing here in this reading. So if you had $1 million, they're saying be very wise about who you invest in, and not just business wise, but also romantically. Because you want to be in service, you want to help people, but not to the point that you are enabling or disabling yourself. Right? You're not enabling the other person and you're not disabling yourself. You are helping, you're supporting, but you're also receiving on that as well. Okay, let's get some more messages here from the Tarot of the Divine. Thank you to the subscriber who sent these in to us from my Amazon wish list. I've got so many decks that I have felt called to in the Amazon wish list, and I really enjoy just kind of browsing on Amazon and looking at all of the fascinating artwork and different decks that have such unique energy. So thank you so much to all of the subscribers who have sent in decks for us here on the channel. Okay. You have the Emperor. Yeah. Group number 2, you guys just have boss vibes. Like if you had $1 million, you would not squander it. You would be an emperor, an empress. Like you are boss vibes for sure. You've got it all on lockdown. You're like under control. You know what to do. You know where to invest. You delegate. You are very discerning. I'm seeing, it's like boss energy for sure. Definitely. And it's interesting that you have the Emperor here, which is very divine masculine energy, and you have Venus, which is divine feminine, and the Lovers is kind of like merging them together. So again, I feel like there's this balancing of these two polarities or energetic dynamics, and it's through the sort of hybridization of those two that you create more. 10 of Swords. Oh boy. That is a tough energy. Maybe that's where the recovery comes in, 10 of Swords can really be like you're drowning. I just heard depression. So maybe you're helping people to recover from depression through some kind of, like an investment in some kind of new technique or new medication or new healing or therapy or something like that. But I also, you could have experienced depression in the past as well. Group number 2. And if that's the case, then recovering from this depression by finding the root of the issue is going to help you to not only recover, but also to grow and expand by moving on from that stuckness, from that, I just heard dissociation, but I was going to say like disconnection, but it's kind of the same thing. Yeah. So being able to give and receive love, I think with a partner, investing in the right partner is really important here, but also investing in yourself, giving and receiving love from yourself. That is really going to help you to recover if you've struggled with any mental health issues there, and to get a lot more clear on where you need to go, what you need to do. I'm seeing like meditating and then becoming very decisive and knowing exactly what you need to do, because you're dispelling any distortion that was coming from the emotional body, and you're really using that very logical, analytical mind to transcend that. I think that's why that's so emphasized here in your reading, is because emotions are important, but if they completely overtake you and they begin to rule you, then that can actually do you a very big disservice. And when it comes to acquiring this money and or utilizing $1 million, it's really for you, group 2, about how analytical you can be, how logical and self-directed in that sense you can be. But you're merging these opposing things together, and it's through that wholeness that you're able to really use the analysis to your benefit. 4 of coins. Yeah, I do feel like you would be an angel investor if you had $1 million. You would definitely be investing in other people who have really brilliant ideas, and or you would be, you might even be someone who gives out loans or something like that. It's very interesting what I'm seeing here. And it's like you might even be the type of person who would protect your investments. Like you wouldn't just kind of give the money, like you'd be involved in it somehow, right? And you would want a particular say based on the number of shares that you had or something like that. But yeah, I see you being very invested, not just financially, but also mentally and emotionally in what you would be helping to grow and expand. And yet not emotionally attached. It's like a detached, I don't know how to explain it. And I'm sorry, I'm kind of struggling with that, but it feels like you're detached, but you're also emotionally invested. Like you care, but you don't care so much that it would crush you if it failed, or that emotional attachment to the outcome would cloud your decision making. Like at the end of the day, it's all business. And they're showing me, what was it in Pirates of the Caribbean, where the guy who is the head of like the East India Trading Company or something, he's like, it's just good business. I feel like not so ruthless. Like ultimately your goal is to be in service to other people, because you've had to go through a lot and recover, and or you're helping other people to do that. So I don't feel like it's so cut and dry and cold and like, emotionally disconnected. I feel like there is an emotional connect there, but it is first and foremost about the business, with an emphasis on how that can be of service to others. So you're not going to like screw anyone over or anything like that. You're just not attached to what you're investing your money in, in the sense that it's going to prevent you from doing what you need to do in terms of a business decision. Okay. It was a long-winded way of saying that. But anyway, you have the Page of Swords. So again, I'm seeing like decisive thinking, very clear-minded, being able to make these sort of instinctive yet informed decisions. And you have the Lovers again. No way. So you have the Lovers twice in your reading. This is really interesting, group number 2. So 2, right? Even the number 2 is like this harmony between two people. It's relationship based. So I definitely feel like decisions are a huge part of how you acquire this money. Investing in the right things, the right people, that is what is going to help you to acquire this money and to expand and grow it once you do get it. But I also see that Spirit is advising you that if you had $1 million, they really want you to invest in things that you love. People, ideas, projects, things like that. So that's where the emotional connection comes in, but you're emotional, that's what I was trying to say. You're emotionally connected to it, but you're not attached to it. There's a difference, right? You can unconditionally love someone and not be attached to them or the idea of them. And I think that's where the energy of like enabling came in earlier into the equation, where you're not enabling anyone because you care about them or their idea. You're like, You know, this is not a wise investment. I love you, but I'm not going to, you know, continue dumping money into this or continue dumping energy into this. It's kind of like you're looking at the whole picture and making a decision that's going to really serve everyone in a sense. But predominantly, it's like, yeah, definitely. I've got to say, like, I'm not going to mince words here. It just feels like business comes first. But it's not like a psychopathic type of ruthlessness. You know what I mean? It's still very compassionate. It's still very, you know, heart-centered. And the motivation is to be of service in some way. But yeah, it's like the books need to balance at the end of the day is kind of what I'm seeing here. And it's very much, the focus is very much on growth and expansion. So yeah, that is what I see for you, group number 2. Interesting reading. Don't shoot the messenger. This is just what I'm seeing. If it applies to you, great. Take it, run with it, use it. If it doesn't, then just leave it here. Maybe check out another pile or different reading or something like that. So anyway, let me know what you would do with $1 million in the comments below. I'm very curious to know. And does any of this resonate or feel like it suits you, or what would you do with this energy? So anyway, I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. If you guys want to work with me one-on-one, I am currently accepting clients right now. I've opened up spaces for 2 services that I have, the intuitive tarot readings and the soul scan plus healing. So if you guys are interested, hop on now before I take those off the table. I'm only going to be working with a select number of people because my energy is still finite and limited. So I don't want to overextend myself, but I do want to be of service to you guys. So there's that. And if you're not looking for a session right now, but you do want to go a little bit deeper with me, I do have memberships available here on the channel, which will give you access to lots of additional content and more one-on-one connection with me through the monthly live streams. So if you guys are interested, check that out. Hit the join button below, become a member, and I hope to see you guys in the members only side of the channel, a session, and or in the next reading. So thank you guys. I love you. We'll see you there. Bye. All right. Hi, group number 3. You chose the I love you charm and this particular pile. So I feel like Spirit is really kind of calling me to this energy of infinity, like the infinity sign here. Very much about this fluidity of motion where things begin and end in the same place. That's what I'm getting. It's almost like unification, oneness, and it's movement and expansion, but it kind of like circles back on itself. It's giving me like world card energy, you know, the world and the Fool. It's the cycle from the beginning to the end of the major arcana. I'm working on a Tarot Level 1 course where we do go into that more in depth. If you guys are interested, keep an eye out for that. But yeah, anyway, let's take a look at your cards. You have Camel. And the first thing I noticed was that the pyramid is being pierced by the bottom of the crescent moon, which I find interesting. I don't know what that means yet, but Camel is getting me perseverance energy, like going on a long journey, persevering, overcoming things, rises and falls. It's like the ups and downs of that infinity cycle, but it ultimately comes back around on itself again. Okay, let's keep going. We'll get more information. You have the High Priestess. So I think that's where the moon starts to come in. The High Priestess kind of always reminds me of the moon, and we have these 2 crescent moons in these cards, as you can see. So I definitely feel like this energy of the intuition, which is connected to the infinite realm. The intuition is the conduit through which we can tap into the infinite and channel that information. So I feel like if you had $1 million, group number 3, it's very much about psychic and subconscious expansion. It's kind of giving me group number 1 vibes, but I feel like yours is a little different. In group 1, we were talking about like spiritual expansion, psychic development, and I see that here in these cards and these energies, but it's much more, it's much deeper. Whereas for them, they were called to expand and explore and develop in that way. I feel like for you guys, if you had $1 million, it wouldn't be about traveling the world. It would be about mastering like astral projection and going into those infinite realms within. Like, it's not so much about how you can tap into the infinite through the expansion outwardly. It's like you're just full on going inward. Past lives, the whole nine, like really transcending time and space. That's wow. Okay. Six of Pentacles. And I think because you would have gained all of this psychic awareness, or you have all of this already, if you had $1 million, you would be very charitable with it. And it would be like this natural flow. Like the Six of Pentacles is very much connected to the infinity energy because it's the natural flow, the natural cycle of events. Like if you started out in this position where you were begging for a bone, and then you worked your way up through perseverance, through dedication, through introspection and self-development to get to a position to have enough resources to be able to share them. It's like everything comes full circle. And so you're able to give back because you've been in that position before. And so you're able to help someone who is now in that position that you were in. Yeah, so it's like this energy of everything kind of cycling back on itself and you getting to these ever higher and higher levels of consciousness. You have clear endeavor. I feel like you would be very connected to family, or you are very connected to family, group number 3. I think that there's a big emphasis here, if you had $1 million, on the types of experiences that you could give to your family members. Like, for example, organizing events and like taking out a large group of people to a different location to have this experience or something like that. Like, I feel like if you had $1 million, you would really, really spread the love. You would be very charitable, very giving, and you would focus a lot on your family and or chosen family, right? It doesn't have to be blood family. It can be friends and people that you just genuinely love and care about. They're like your soul family. And so I see like gatherings and connections, and I see you kind of like slyly spoiling other people in a way. Not spoiling, I don't like that word, because you're not spoiling anyone. You are giving. You're blessing. Let's say it that way. It's just like slyly blessing people and them not expecting it and not seeing it coming. And I just see a lot of gratitude for what you're able to give. And it's coming from a very unconditional place. That's what I feel, like a very deep subconscious place, because you understand the nature of reality, the nature of the matrix, the nature of the universe is kind of what I'm seeing. You are connected to the infinite, and so you can work with the finite in a completely different manner than someone else might, because you have this clarity of mind that comes through the heart. That's your unification right there. It's the heart chakra. So it's through like going into the heart and delving deeply into these realms of the universe, which, you know, it's through the unification of the heart center that you can tap into those infinite realms, that you really gained a lot of wisdom, or will be gaining a lot of wisdom. And that is where this money comes in. Because if we're talking about how to acquire $1 million, I really see for you, it's being charitable, it's being giving, it's coming from the heart, because that connects you to the intelligent infinity of the universe, which draws in the resources. It's kind of like the more you give, the more you're going to receive. And the more you will have to give. It's like, let's say you're gifted $100. If you give $20 of that, you're going to receive back $200. Not from that person, but it's like that's the universal exchange rate is what they're showing me. It's like the universal exchange rate. So the more you give, the more you're going to get. Number 3. Wow. I did not look at these cards, but here it is. Heart chakra. Boom. Exactly what I was just saying. It's all through the heart chakra. It's very much centered on intelligent infinity and unity consciousness. And it's through this that you're able to give, because the heart chakra is very giving. It's very much about love and being able to share and to give and also receive. It does need to be balanced. It needs to be reciprocal so that you're not going into this martyrdom energy. But I really see you having a very clear direction on how you are going to share the wealth and continue to expand for yourself as well. So it's like the more you give, the more you receive. So it's a beautiful sort of upward spiral that I'm seeing here. And it starts in the heart. Wow, you have another chakra, solar plexus chakra. Okay, so it's definitely about what you can physically do. It's the actions that you can take. Because the solar plexus is to do with the self and the heart is to do with others. But it's through the relationship with ourself that we've found the relationships with other people. So I see these two as being very interconnected. One is about the concept of me, and the other is the concept of me plus we. Me as we, I should say. That's where infinity comes in, because something can be both finite and infinite. In the sense that it's infinite, it is one, but it has all of these finite parts within it, which seem separate. That's what I mean when I'm talking about the heart chakra and unification, like unity consciousness. It's understanding that we are all one. Literally and figuratively, we are all one, but we are also separate because something that is infinite can have finite parts. So we experience ourselves as separate. We experience ourselves through these delineations of consciousness and physicality. But really, at the end of the day, we're all one. And it's that awareness, that consciousness, that embodied energy that is going to draw in this $1 million and also how you're meant to express it. You have look for a sign. And I love that with clear endeavor here, because it's kind of like you will see the sign because you are so intuitively tapped in and tuned in. You will see the sign very clearly. You will feel it. It will be like a bolt of lightning that comes to you. Maybe it's an idea of something that you can invest in, or you're called to share. And then again, you're going to get that back, and you just keep kind of, you share, you get, you share, you get, you share, you get, and eventually you expand into that $1 million price range, right? And it's a very clear endeavor for you. There's much spiritual guidance around this. It's like you receive these spiritual downloads, is what they're showing me. The aurora in the background of this card, the lightning bolt that they were showing us here, and look for a sign, and this particular person being so sort of magnanimous is the word they just gave me, but I was going to say like goddess-like in the background there. It definitely feels like there's a connection to your higher self, to the universe, to spirit, to God, to source, that helps you to, again, through this intelligent infinity at the heart level, be able to take action on these inspirations that you get. And that is what really helps you expand your finances and your ability to receive and in turn give. Two sides of the same energy. And you have the South Node, destined to release. What I'm getting here is that you are destined to give. Group number 3. And that is what you would do if you had $1 million, because at soul level, you are destined to give and to share. And that is how you are expanding and developing and growing, is because, again, the more you give, the more you receive. So you're destined to release, not in the sense that there's something from the past that you need to release. I'm not really looking at it in regard to the South Node energy specifically. It's more you are destined to release, as in releasing your hold or your grip on money and just being able to let it flow through you, through this energy of intelligent infinity. If it comes, it's going to go. And if it goes, it's going to come. So you've just got to let it flow, because the more you release, the more you're going to receive. Okay. And you have trine, angelic support, harmony, and perfect flow. Exactly. Perfect flow. Like the more that you can release and let go, the more it's going to flow, the better it's going to come in. And you definitely have angelic support. That's what I was seeing there with these cards. So I definitely see group number 3, that you are divinely guided. Like you are so divinely guided. You can just sit back and receive the inspiration and let that money come in. It starts small, is what they're showing me. And the more that you follow your intuitive prompts and you give each time you're called intuitively from the heart, from this very unconditional flowing intelligent infinity space, the more it comes in. And it's kind of like, it just keeps expanding on itself exponentially. So let's say you start out with $100 and you give that 20, and then you get 200. So you give 40, and then you get like 300 or 400 or something, right? It just keeps going up and up and up, and you give more, but you keep getting more. And eventually you get to this point where you're like, oh, I've got $1 million, and now I can give out, I'm so bad at math, but like, let's say like I can give out like $100,000, and it doesn't really put a dent in it, but that also brings in more, like $2 million. You know what I mean? Like you just keep receiving the more that you give, and it is joyful for you to give. Like that's really the key here, is that you're not giving because it's like some calculated thing that you're doing because you know the universe is going to give you back. It's like, no, it's genuinely coming from the heart. Like it's not at all with a business mindset like it was in group number 2, for example. In group 2, we were looking at this energy of very like analytical, decisive, very, very business minded, like investing very wisely from that analytical perspective. For you, group 3, it's like you are extremely intuitive and you are in the flow of the universe. And that is why you know that you need to give and you want to give, is because you understand that everyone is you. So the more you give to that other version of you, like that other person, it could be a random stranger on the street, but you know that is me in another body, in another time, in another place. And so if I give to me in that way, that external way, I'm going to receive, because the universe is you and it's just responding to what you're doing. Let's get some additional clarification here from the Tarot of the Divine. Yeah, I do feel, okay, those two. Feel that one. Okay. Wow, they're really going up, pulling out all the stops here for you, group number 3. Queen of Swords. Okay. Yeah, I want to put that over here. King of Coins. A king and a queen right out the bat here. Definitely focused, clear-minded, practical, very giving, very... Yeah, I see so much growth here. A lot of charitability. That's really what I see. I feel like if you had $1 million, group number 3, you would be really charitable, like very philanthropic. Yeah, they just showed me Tony Stark. And you know, when that one blonde girl is like interviewing him and she's like, what have you done for the world? And he's like, well, I'm a billionaire philanthropist, something. And it's that same kind of energy where Tony had to learn that what he was doing was not really aligned with him. Yes, it made him a lot of money, but he ultimately, once he had that heart awakening, quite literally, because, you know, that heart, it was through the invention that he created to prevent the shards of metal from going into his heart that he went through this awakening and started to reconnect to his actual humanity, that he went from being a sort of egotistical, self-centered, that's like the negative side of the solar plexus chakra, the shadow side is like egotistical, self-centered, self-focused, selfish type consciousness. And he evolved through the heart to be a hero. And as we know at the end of the story, well, no spoilers here, but at the end of the story, you know, he ends up sacrificing himself for the collective good to save everyone. So it's that type of energy. And I'm not saying you need to be a martyr. Please don't be, actually. That wouldn't serve you here in this case. But it's very much about what you can give because you understand the connection to all things. And it's transcending the ego and the self-finiteness and being able to move into that infinite connected unity that helps you to really be the highest version of yourself and help a lot of other people along the way. The Devil. Okay, so that's the shadow side I was just talking about. It's like Tony in that initial space before he becomes Iron Man is very much in his devil energy. It's all about, like, they just gave me the word lasciviousness. I don't even know what that means, but like lustful and indulgent and hedonistic. And, you know, he has to learn the other side of that and how to come out of that and how to commit and how to love and how to sacrifice instead of always kind of being in that greedy energy. So I feel like group number 3, you're being called to really find your humanity and connect to that, because again, that's going to bring in all of these resources, and that's not the point of it, but that is the outcome, right? The more that you connect to your humanity, your charitability, your grace, it's like angelic grace through this unity consciousness. That is how you bring in these resources, and they're there to help you to help others, because when you help others, you help yourself. And when you only help yourself, you're hurting yourself, because service to self, and this is a polarity thing, like a spiritual polarity thing. Service to self is negative polarity. And if you're more than like 90% service to self, you are doing a disservice to the collective, and you are hurting your larger self, your infinite self, because you have become disconnected from that. And the finite self is actually hurting the infinite self. Whereas when you are in service to others, positive polarity, even just by 51%, anything more than 50%, and you are considered service to others. And so you can still have service to self qualities, you can still have tendencies and things like that, but you're still technically positively oriented at soul level. And it's through service to others that you are serving yourself at that larger level, because the finite self is serving the infinite self. Does that make sense? I'm trying to explain it as best I can, but my mental energy is starting to run low because this is the 3rd reading. So hopefully it's making sense to you guys. If you want to discuss more about service to self and service to others and things like that, I can do a whole video on it. Maybe we'll do a reading on that. Let me know in the comments below if you're interested. But let's keep going. You have 3 of Cups. So yeah, I definitely feel, again, sharing. I'm seeing this like group energy where you're like connecting with people. So definitely if you had $1 million, Spirit is advising you to really connect with other people through group events that you either host or that you go to. I'm seeing, again, like charitability, networking. It's very much relationship focused, but it's not like a one-on-one relationship. It's connection to the collective. That's really what I'm seeing there. You have the 9 of Coins, beautiful energy of abundance. Yes, definitely. If you had $1 million, you would also be called to enjoy it, but enjoy it in a healthy way, right? Like you're not becoming consumed by what you have. You are allowing it to move through you and taking moments to be able to enjoy it. And the abundance here is shown as like all of these watermelons. And that in this instance is the blessing that he gets to enjoy. Oh, Kitty's in the background. So Kitty is for confirmation. So it's really being able to enjoy in this moment. And that will give you the resources to be able to give and share, whether it's through love that you give or through finances, whatever it happens to be. It's kind of like the more that you can really, really deeply enjoy and appreciate what you have, the more that you're going to want to share that with others because you want them to have that same experience. And the more that you're, again, going to receive in return. You have the Strength card. I can't remember yet. I think this came out in group 1. Yeah, it did. Group number 1. And you have the 5 of Wands. So really having the strength to overcome any of that egoic type of energy. It's like you transcend the ego. Group number 3. And that's not like killing off your ego or vilifying your ego. No. The ego is very helpful. It's an operating system, but it's when the ego seeks to rule everything else that it becomes a problem. When the ego works with the infinite self, the higher self, for that collective good, that is when the ego can be very, very, very supportive and productive. But it's getting everyone on the same page, and I mean everyone by like you and you. It's having the strength to discipline yourself. 9 of Coins can also talk about self-discipline. And it's through this self-discipline that you really connect to your infinite potential, is what they're showing me and what they just said. So again, it's like through the heart center that you're able to connect to yourself and therefore discipline yourself and expand. Yeah. And then you're able to give because you have more to give. And the Knight of Coins. I just heard the word charitability again. So yeah, that's really the message that they're driving home here, is that you, if you had $1 million, would be very, very charitable. It would be primarily focused on what you can give back, how you can share. And again, that is what helps you to receive. But it's through this discipline and this intuitive development, this infinite connection to the divine, that really helps you to transcend some of the lower aspects of the collective consciousness, of humanity, and of our experience. So you here, subjectively, you're able to move out of the imbalances and distortions of the lower ego and its sort of warped expression, and you're able to really still enjoy the sensual pleasures of life, but not to the detriment of yourself and or others. So it's like everything in moderation, basically, including moderation. Yeah. So that's basically what I see for you, group number 3. If you had $1 million, you would be very other focused, and it would serve you well as well, because it's a very symbiotic relationship when you're unified in this way. But it very much comes from love, and it's divinely guided. So if you want to create this kind of wealth in your life, follow your heart, because that is what is going to get you into that energy. The more charitable you can be, the more you're going to receive. Just make sure that you're not overextending yourself, right? If you're getting $100, you're not giving $100. You're getting $100 and giving 20, right? So it's always a percentage that you're sharing. It's almost like tithing, but you're not doing it from that point of view. It's not like an obligation. It's more like when it feels joyous to give because you're going to get in return. All right. So love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. I hope this reading resonated with you. Let me know in the comments below what you would do with $1 million if you had it, or if you have it, what you have done with it, how this reading resonates with you, and all that good stuff. I'm always looking forward to reading your guys' comments. And thank you so much for being here, supporting the channel in that way and in many others. If you guys want to work with me one-on-one, I do have my books open for a limited time. I have 2 readings available. There's the intuitive tarot reading, which is kind of like this, but we do it on Zoom together, and the soul scan and energy healing, which is more of like a psychic reading and Reiki energy healing. So if you guys are interested, book through my website. It's linked in the description box below. It's tarotandbeyond.com. And if not, then I hope to see you in the next reading and or on the members side of the channel. Hit the join button to explore the tiers and to go deeper here on the channel. But anyways, love you guys, and we'll see you in the next reading. Bye.